Hey, what's up everybody? This is Osterberg501 and today I want to go over the new story mechanics that are going to be coming with Diablo 4. Now I'm not going to be going over any of the contents of the actual story of the game, so there's not going to be any spoilers in this video. I'm specifically going to be going over some of the new mechanics coming with Diablo 4 and the general way we're going to interact with the story in the game. So starting off, Diablo 4 being a fully open world game is going to have a pretty big impact on how we interact with the main story of the game, because the main campaign isn't fully linear and you're able to explore any of the 5 regions in whichever order you want. Now we don't know exactly how this is going to play out, but my best guess is that the story is probably going to be focused on those 5 different regions and 5 different parts, so you can do them in whatever order you want, and then while doing that, the main story interweaves between all those 5 regions in whichever order you do them in, and then most likely there would be some type of ending that isn't specific to any of those regions. And this will just give you a lot more variation on leveling new characters. It'll give you a lot more options on how you want to experience the story depending on where you want to explore, and be a pretty big departure from the other Diablo games, which are basically A to B to A to B, and you really don't have any options on doing anything different when it comes to the main story. And there's also some new tech and mechanics coming with Diablo 4 that should make playing through the story a more immersive experience. And the first thing is something that I was really excited about when they first announced this, and that is what is essentially a camera change when you're talking to specific NPCs. So a couple things we have evolved with how we deliver story in Diablo 4. First, we have conversations. In Diablo 3, we relied on UI panes with a character's name and portrait. We're experimenting with a mix of tool-generated and manually choreographed cameras to tackle conversations. For simple interactions with NPCs, we bring the camera in closer to the characters while maintaining an overall isometric feel, and use a library of animations to deliver the general gist of the conversations. For more complex conversations, we take a similar camera approach, but here the characters' movements and animations are more deliberately handcrafted. This lets us deliver story moments that are complex while keeping you in the world as much as possible. And they also have a screenshot with this. So essentially in this screenshot, it is showing the camera being more zoomed in, essentially zooming you in on a scene that you're talking to another character in. And also the edges of the screen are kind of blacked out or faded out. I'm assuming this is also to more focus on the conversation with the specific character you're having that conversation with. And this is much more reminiscent of stuff that a lot of more single player RPG or story games have. They kind of pull you in and they want you fully focused on the conversation, the story you're having with that specific character. And what they're essentially explaining here is this is going to be a similar thing for talking to just any random character, say for side quests or other interactions, and then also talking to, say, main story characters where the story is going to be much more important and complex. But the big difference between these two is that with the more complex and more important stories, they're going to have a lot more of advanced animations that are more unique outside of just the in-game animations. So an easier way to understand this is when you're talking to non-important characters or non-main storyline characters, it's going to be using just the in-game animations for the conversation that's going on. But if you're talking to more important characters, probably part of the main story, they're going to have more custom animations specific for those conversations. And I think this is a pretty massive upgrade over what we got with Diablo 3. And if the contents of the story are generally pretty good, I think this will just make the story experience much more enjoyable and much more immersive. Now, that's not the only new storytelling tech that's coming with Diablo 4. The second storytelling method we are developing is real-time cutscenes. Here, we grab your camera and treat the storytelling more like a movie. So we're reserving this technique for the most important story moments. Having these be real time has great advantages. We can show your character with their currently equipped armor as part of the scene, for example, but we can also display them at your current resolution with your currently enabled graphic settings, so they end up feeling more seamless and like part of the game. And they showed some of this work in progress stuff at one of the BlizzCons, but essentially what this is the big cutscene moments in the story are going to be these new real-time cutscenes, which is going to to be using your graphic settings, so it doesn't go from just your graphic settings to like super high quality, and these aren't going to be like a CGI cutscene. It's also going to be able to have your character with all of your equipped items in these cutscenes, so your character's actually there in that part of the story. But you can fully expect that all of these are going to be pretty big moments of the story. They're probably all going to have fully custom animations. They're not just going to be reusing animations from outside in the rest of the game. So probably full custom facial rigging and all that type of stuff, but still in game, still feels like you're witnessing this part of the story in game instead of it being just a kind of canned cutscene that's outside of the game. Now, the one thing I'm not sure about is if there are going to be the big CGI cutscenes somewhere in the story as well. Usually Blizzard games at some point do have those big CGI, incredibly high quality, high budget cutscenes or cinematics somewhere in their games. For instance, at World of Warcraft, they actually have something similar to what they're doing with Diablo 4. They have the more in-game cutscenes that are using pretty much all in-game animations. There's not a ton of work put on the facial rigging of these characters. These are more the smaller stuff that aren't the biggest of story beats. And recently they also started to do more cutscenes of what they're talking about in this, which is still in game, which still shows your character, but they have fully custom animations with fully custom facial rigging and all that type of stuff, but still being in real time in the game. And then they also have the big CGI mechanics that you'll usually get a few times through every expansion. And this isn't confirmed anywhere, but I would probably expect they're gonna go along those lines with Diablo 4 as well. But that's pretty much everything I want to go over with the new information we have for the new tools that are going to be used in the story of Diablo 4. Like I mentioned, I'm pretty excited about this, especially the way they're pulling in your camera and focusing on your character conversations with the different NPCs in the game. I think that is a really cool way to up the enjoyment of the main story of the game. But that's pretty much everything I want to go over. So subscribe if you want to see more Diablo 4 or other videos. Leave a like if you liked the video. Leave a comment down below what you guys think about all of these new story mechanics. And thanks for watching.